I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And we've just went through the clip from the city councilman here in Austin, Mike Martinez. We went over a clip from Feinstein where she said that she wanted to take all the guns. If it was in her power, she would take all the guns. Of course, Mike Martinez addressed a couple of people who were counter-demonstrating. Their demonstration there at the state capitol said, stop the gun ban. He goes, oh, hang on to your sign. We're not going to do that just yet, but we're going to. We're going to be coming back for that. Now, we've got people on the line calling in. We got someone from Sydney, Australia. I want to get his take on this gun ban because it's been done in Australia. This is Mel, Australia. There?
Hello, David.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, good, man. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Yeah, the gun ban. Well, you guys are so lucky that you have guns, man. They don't allow guns anywhere in Australia.
Right.
That's all they have, the bolt action and the lever action.
Oh, they let you have bolts and levers. Is that right?
Yeah, but you have to register and have a license. And I'll let you have a handgun as well, but they've got a lot of regulations, and it's very difficult.
That's right.
To own one.
That's right. They will infringe on it on the edges. They'll make it essentially impractical to own anything if they don't outright ban it. Now, you had a situation there. Even the guy, Crocodile Dundee, he was killed in a shootout with the police there over guns that they had made illegal that previously were legal, right?
I'm not sure about that. I didn't get a bit of that.
Yeah.
Crocodile Dundee, he was the movie star. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Nah, he's still alive.
No, not the movie star, but the guy that based the story on. The real life Crocodile Dundee, yeah.
Oh, right. No, I'm not sure about that. But I wanted to have your take on the G20 that's happening in Brisbane, Australia. Have you heard anything about it?
Well, I don't, we haven't been covering the G20. We have been covering the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's one of the things that concerns us here very much because that's a comprehensive movement that's not just a trade agreement. That's going to affect so many different areas of people's lives. It's really kind of a back way to shut down internet freedom. It's also going to allow them to go against prohibitions against genetic modified organisms and take that out of the control of local governments and basically allow that to happen without any interference from people.
Yeah.
What did you want to say about the G20?
Oh, the police state is just taking over. Apparently, they're locking down all the citizens in Brisbane, in the city. No one's allowed to leave their home, and the police have the power to do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's pretty much happening everywhere. Everybody's got their eyes on Sochi, and that's what everybody's thinking about right now is the Olympics, and they're not really looking at the G20 that much. Well, thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Andy in North Carolina. Andy, are you there?
This is the right Marshal von Stiglitz. You useless weed. Why on earth do you want to carry a weapon?
I'm sorry, what?
Why do you want to carry a weapon? Only the stormtroopers of the SS carry the weapon, and only the Uberman of the corporation carry the weapon.
That's right.
You, the undermits, you do not carry a weapon. You understand?
Right. That's right.
You do not carry the weapon. You are the undermits. You eat your GMO. You smoke the fluoride, you smoke the nicotine vaporizer, and you die. That's all you do. The corporation is the sovereign. You're human weed.
That's right.
Yes, I am the Uberman. Right, Marshal von Stiglitz, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. The federal government has now become the feral government. Thank you. All right, Andrew in Pennsylvania. Andrew, you there? Hello, Andrew. Let's go to South Carolina, WB. Hello, South Carolina, WB, are you there?
Dave, you there, buddy?
Hey. Did you want to weigh in on this, on the gun confiscation plans of mayors against illegal guns?
Yes, sir. I mean, thankfully, I live in a state where we have more relaxed gun control than most other states. But I just want to know, Dave, when do you think they're going to give up this fight? Because it just seems that every time they try to push, the market and the free people push back by buying more guns, buying more ammunition. It just doesn't seem to be working for them. And when are they going to realize that?
Well, they have been able to make some inroads in this, and that's one of the things that was pointed out in this article from Kit Daniels. In some gun control states, like New York, I know this isn't happening in South Carolina, but in New York, they passed the SAFE Act. And let me read you some of the things that are in the SAFE Act here. They have bans of any high-capacity magazines, regardless of where they were made or sold. They have to register ammunition sales. See, that's where they're spreading out. They're coming after ammunition, not just with created shortages, but now they want to track ammunition. They also want to use the UN Arms Trade Treaty to stop the flow of guns back and forth across borders, either importing them or exporting them. That's been the goal all along. That was what they were trying to do with Fast and Furious. The New York Times even admitted that Fast and Furious was an operation to discredit the First Amendment. And the UN Arms Trade Treaty is going to formalize that. It's going to make it very difficult to get arms from other countries, as well as requiring registration. Because if they're going to know where guns are moving, they need to, of course, register everybody's guns. And once they register your guns, the next step is confiscation. We've seen that over and over again.
Yeah, it's definitely an extremely scary thing, but I think, just like the basis of the show is the information war, if we could just keep on, teaching more people, about gun safety and proper handling of a gun, we will start to create more and more of a movement. Because I'll tell you what, David, when I see these Mark Dice videos on here, and they're telling college students we're going to take away the Second Amendment and we're going to put our own, their own lead in the gun owners' bodies on their front lawn. I mean, it's a little scary out there.
Well, exactly. That's what I was saying earlier, is that people are afraid of guns. They don't know what they're about. Whenever we have an automobile accident, whenever somebody is killed in an automobile accident, you don't see people getting together and holding candlelight vigils and saying we need to get rid of all cars. We need to have a buyback of all cars. That's what they're doing in Boston. And we see that even in Houston, in Beaumont, Texas, the police went after a guy with a gun shop. He's got somebody standing in front of the gun shop dressed as a banana with an AK-47 slung over his shoulder. It's unloaded. The muzzle's pointed to the ground. It's totally legal to do that in Texas, and yet they arrest him and charge him with disorderly conduct. They did that to the store owner in a mall, and that's why he moved out of the mall and moved to the store. So he has his grand opening ceremony, and the same thing happens to him there. It really is perception. They really do assassinate the character of gun owners and make people afraid of guns themselves. That's the whole point of it. They're playing on people's ignorance, trying to make people afraid of guns themselves so that they will just support a blanket ban. And that is the agenda of Bloomberg. That's been the stated agenda of Feinstein. It is the agenda of Bloomberg. This mayor from Poughkeepsie pointed it out, told everybody what he had seen inside the group, pointed out that he and 50 others at least have left this because they've learned that that's the agenda.
It's scary, David. All I can say is just keep on spreading the good word, and God bless y'all.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, and that's why we can't ever get tired of this. This devastating admission from one of the mayors who was in Mayors Against Illegal Guns is very important. They're not stopping this. This is the year, of course, where Obama says he's going to have a year of action. And one of the things he's going to do with his pen, he just restated this yesterday. He's still restated that he's got a pen and he's got a phone, and he's going to use them to do whatever he can. And of course, he's also got a bureaucracy that writes regulations as if they were legislators. And so between him and these regulatory agencies, there's quite a lot that he can do that we don't want done from our elected representatives. A lot of times they'll push this off to other people so that they purposely abdicate their responsibility so they don't have to take the hit when outrageous legislation is published. They can then come back in like they're white knights and say, oh, we never wanted to see that happen. That's an out-of-control regulatory agency. But we have a president who has done more executive orders than any president before him. And unfortunately, it's part of a trend. George Bush had set a record for the number of executive orders. I've seen people defend George Bush by saying he set a new record as well for executive orders. We need to stop that. We don't want to be ruled by fiat. We want to be ruled.
Symbols are powerful, and the globalists have hijacked the symbols of America. They've turned them into their own symbols. Well, we are restoring the idea of the true republic, not the counterfeit globalist empire, by promoting the icon George Washington and others. That's why we're rolling out an 100% made in America line of incredible pro-liberty apparel. We are repopularizing liberty. We are helping fellow Americans rediscover what made this country great. We are the spirit of 1776. We are 1776 worldwide. We are all brothers and sisters in arms in the animating contest of liberty in the long march towards humanity's ultimate destiny of freedom. Visit madein1776.com today and vote with your dollars to promote truly made in America, high-quality products, and promote the ideals of liberty.
Now, you know, mayors against illegal guns, they're all about stopping gun violence. They don't care about other forms of violence. They want to get you afraid of guns, so afraid of guns that you will take all of them off the street. Just as Feinstein has said, she wants Mr. and Mrs. America to give up all of their guns. In this story that broke out of Beaumont, Texas, just outside of Houston earlier, this is a guy who was promoting a new store opening, a new gun store opening, standing outside in a banana suit, an 18-year-old. He was holding an AK-47 across his back with the barrel pointing down, and the officers say that they detained the 18-year-old and found that he had a rifle with a drum magazine that was attached with at least a 50-round capacity. Isn't that scary? Now, notice what they didn't say. They didn't say that it was loaded. They didn't say that he was using it in a menacing manner. They didn't say that he had broken the law, because it wasn't loaded. He wasn't menacing anybody with it. It was perfectly legal to do that. But they want you to be afraid of it. So they talk about how this is an AK-47, an assault rifle. And it also has a 50-round magazine capacity on it. So this is something you should be very much afraid of. This is a campaign to get people afraid of an inanimate object, irrationally afraid of it. See, this is an effort to brainwash people. This is equivalent to reefer madness, where they demonized marijuana. Remember that? Remember the propaganda campaign? This is exactly the same sort of thing. They want to produce not only ignorance, but fear of this inanimate object. And we've seen what happens in the drug war with that. As I mentioned before, former prosecutor from Cook County, that's Chicago, Illinois, said that 80% of the shootings there were over illegal drugs. The war on drugs and prohibition are what is creating most of this violence. The mass shootings are done by people on SSRI drugs. Now, of course, that's coming from Big Pharma. So the government that is profiteering from the war on drugs doesn't want this stopped. And the big pharmaceuticals, who are the big sponsors of the media, as well as ties to many in the government, they don't want to see the SSRIs stopped either. So we're not going to address the root cause of the violence. Instead, we're going to just let it continue to go on. The war of drugs, because as Alex pointed out, it's being grown and trafficked by the CIA and others in our government. It has been the justification for decades for the state-of-the-art, for the cutting edge of destroying our civil liberties, as well as militarizing the police. That's where they started these SWAT teams. And so we have to have them to go in for the big drug raids. Now they're using them for everything. And now they're going to the war on terror, because that's the next progression. People are starting to wake up to the futility, to the insanity of drug prohibition. You have a lot of law enforcement officers, former judges, former attorneys who are waking up, who are speaking out against this, telling people exactly what Alex just said. This is something that is in the government's interest. It is not in the people's interest. And that's the police chief in New York who's spoken out against the SAFE Act. That's the one that I was reading to you about before, that banned the possession of any high-capacity magazines because, remember, they're scary. That was one of the bases of them going after this guy dressed like a banana carrying an empty AK-47. But he had a high-capacity magazine, so we got to arrest that guy outside of Houston. And registering ammunition. This is going through New York, and this sheriff who you just heard there is part of a lawsuit to stop that unconstitutional act, just as Sheriff Mack and other constitutional sheriffs stopped some of the Brady Bill provisions back in, I guess it was about 20 years ago that Sheriff Mack did that. But he's also saying that he's not going to break the law. He's not going to enforce an unjust law. And, you know, we have to stand up as individuals, and we have to say that as jurors, we're not going to enforce unjust, unconstitutional laws. We have to stop being rubber stamps for the system. And we need to understand that our job as a juror is to look not just at the facts of the case and accept the laws as a given, but to also look at the justice of the laws. That's how they stopped alcohol prohibition. It's how people have been pushing back against marijuana prohibition. This was reported by Lars Larson, radio host. He noticed that the Portland police had tweeted out a photo of him shooting at their target range right after he had testified for more gun control in the Oregon legislature. Now, of course, when he supported this expansion of the background checks, this is from Breitbart, as a means of stopping crime, State Senator Betsy Close countered by asking if Jared Lochner had passed a background check before carrying out his heinous attack on then Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords in January of 2011. Actually, he did pass a background check. These are simply harassments. They're infringements on our rights to keep and bear arms. They don't stop any crime. The real root cause of this is the drug war and these dangerous SSRI prescription drugs. Let's go to our callers here. We've got Jalen in Alabama. Jalen, do you want to weigh in on this? Oh, we just missed her, I guess. No, she's still there. Is she still there? Well, let's go to Chris in Kentucky. Chris, are you there?
Hello, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. You know, this AK-47, about a year ago at this time in Jackson County, Kentucky, we had a sheriff that was on it with Alex Jones on the Nightly News interviewed a year ago. Sheriff Denny Pyman is one of the most patriot sheriffs that I've ever seen in this state because he doesn't care if you have an AR-15 or an AK-47 because if you got a bunch of thugs, there's 60 people or more rushing at your farmhouse, whatever, I love that saying, you better have it to protect your family because they cannot be there.
That's right.
It is such a fact. That's the kind of sheriffs we need in this country. Denny Pyman, I'll tell you what, I think I'll move there because when I heard him being interviewed, I want to be a free man. I want a man that stands on the county for his freedom, and that's what we need in this country.
Absolutely.
But we've been so indoctrinated with this fear-mongering, oh, the cell phones are going to save you, the NSA is going to save you, you need to be tracked everywhere you go because the big government's your friend. That's the problem. We got to start educating the young people now. Dave, I used to be a liberal, socialist-minded person, anti-gun, but when I've seen the changes in the early 1990s, when I began to see things changing, when I found Alex Jones and researched all this, this changed me big. This is an empire that we've got to get on the run, and now. Let's get this country back.
Well, absolutely. And just as we pointed out on Friday, we have a very vulnerable, very fragile infrastructure. It could be taken away by sabotage. It could be taken away just by an aging infrastructure. And so we have to be able to protect ourselves. We have to be able to protect our families. And one of the things that I keep thinking about is the Hurricane Katrina in L.A. and that scene where the sheriff gets on and says, nobody will have guns. We're going to take all the guns away. And you've got a lot of people who are disarmed. You've got the pictures of the elderly lady who was knocked on the ground as they took away her guns, went into her house and took away her guns. People who were not bothering anybody, who were just protecting themselves, staying with their family inside of their house. And our government went door to door to disarm these people and leave them at the mercy of who knows what. So, yeah, it's a very, very, very concerning thing. And we need to stand with the sheriffs, as you point out. Thank you, thank you, Chris. Let's go to Peachy in Alabama. Peachy.
Hey, how you doing, Dave? This is Peachy from FEMA Region 2, Jersey.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Okay. Hey, I just want to say these pigs are out of control. I mean, the government, the police. I'm in Jersey. We have to start exercising our Second Amendment right. I mean, I don't want this crap that's happening over in New York. It's going to come over here.
That's right.
We need an even playing ground. I'm not saying we got to be violent or nothing, but a gun is basically a backup stick. I see you with one or you see me with one. Hey, we're going to have that mutual respect.
This is an emergency transmission from FEMA Region 6 in occupied North America.
There is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the InfoWar.